Justin, thank you for logging on.
No problem. All right. Well, I got 9. So what do you guys think? Should we start?
Here, let me just check. If we could just wait a minute for Wendy.
Oh, yeah. No
yeah.
problem. Oh, no, Wendy. Oh.
Yeah. We do have quorum, and I see Wendy is logging on at this moment. Chair, we do have quorum, and Wendy has logged on.
Okay, great. Okay, we got a quorum. In that case, I think I'd like to call the meeting to order. So anyway, before we begin, I'm the new chair, for those of you who don't know. And I'd like to thank Robert Yavis, who was the outgoing chair, for his leadership over the last 2 years. And I look forward to working with everyone over the next couple of years. So, and just as a reminder, this meeting is being recorded and live streamed. So please keep that in mind when you're making your comments. Also, chat items are a part of the public record. So just want to get those out of the way. And since this is kind of a new year, if you will, we could do some introductions. We got some new folks. And as we continue to meet virtually, a roll call will be conducted for introductions, all of their action items. So before we start with introductions, I'd like to welcome a couple of new folks. First, welcome back Matt Dudley, who is now with the city of Avondale and has recently been approved as the new vice chair. Matt, would you like to say any words?
Yeah, it feels a little different, but yeah, I'm still the vice chair again. So looking forward to, again, I think this is year 20, honestly, I think, on this committee. So I think it sets a record. But yeah, I know I'm glad to be back here. I was really excited to get back on there because I know how important, the 5310 program is to the region in general. So I'm really looking forward to be back in it.
Yes, Matt, we know that you just moved to avoid being the chair.
That's exactly what I did. I was like, there's got to be a, easier way. I know what I'll do. I'll get a new job, Just
wanted to stay as vice chair for a little while.
That's right.
Likes that role. And thanks, Matt. Okay, I'd also like to welcome Kelly Donnelly Williams, who is the new MAG Human Services Director. And Kelly, would you, like to tell us about yourself a little bit?
Didi, you were muted.
You're muted. Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, there she is. She's coming into round. She was not joining, but I see that she's joining right now.
Perfect.
We're gonna get her on the spot.
Yeah, we just introduced Kelly, and if she has a few moments to tell us a little bit about herself, that'd be great.
It seems like she's having an issue getting connection with the
I believe she's just connecting.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll wait on that a little bit. Okay, well, she's getting connected. We're doing the introduction. So we have another person to introduce, and that's Nancy Jackson. She's a new member of the committee from the city of Chandler. And Nancy, would you like to tell us about yourself a little bit?
Sure. Nancy Jackson. Yep. I am the transportation planning coordinator for the city of Chandler. Been in this position for almost 3 years now. I guess I'm not the newbie anymore.
Yeah, you can't say that.
And not the rookie, but been with the city for 17 years. So I'm excited to be part of this team.
Thanks, Nancy. Okay, do we have Kelly on?
It looks like she's having some type of connectivity issues with her audio.
Okay. Yeah, I see it there. All right. Well, we will touch back with Kelly when the audio is connected. So thanks everybody for your introductions at this point. And Dee Dee, would you now conduct the roll call?
Chair, members of the committee, Carolyn Ballard, if you can say here. Carolyn Ballard, I think you're on mute.
Here.
Okay, thank you. David Calloway.
Here. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. We do have Vice Chair Donnelly. Joan Freeman.
Here.
Autumn Groom, City of Almarach.
Here.
We do have Nancy Jackson. Wendy Miller, City of Phoenix.
Good morning here.
Kristen Taylor, City of Surprise. Kristen Taylor, City of Surprise.
She said that she was not going to be able to attend.
Okay. We do have Nathan Williams. Robert Yabez, City of Tempe. Good morning, Robert. If you didn't hear. Robert Yabez. I don't think your mic is working, but I do see your name and I saw that you unmuted. And Tom Young, Valley Metro. And I believe he was not able to attend.
Yes.
We do have quorum, chair. And I do see that Kelly is online.
Okay. Thanks, Dee Dee. Please remember, just a reminder, please everybody remember to mute yourself when you're not speaking, and when you're making a comment, please identify yourself when speaking. Or when you want to speak, remember to unmute yourself. That's also important. So, Kelly, if you're there and you can hear us, would you like to, we kind of skipped you when the introductions, and we know you're the new MAG Human Services Director, so if you have a few moments to tell us about yourself, it'd be great.
Good morning, everyone. I apologize that I wasn't on right on time. I had another call that carried over. My name is Kelly Williams. I'm the new Director of Human Services at MAG. I am really pleased to be here with you all today and to learn more about this important work and how it fits our mission at MAG to help serve the most vulnerable across our region. I come to MAG with about 20 years of public health experience. Most recently, I worked for state service at both Access and the State Health Department. And again, I'm just really pleased to be here with you all. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Okay, so let's get started on to our first item, call to the audience. So, call to the audience. This is an opportunity provided to the public to provide written comments to the committee or items that are not, on the agenda within the jurisdiction of MAG, or on items on the agenda but not for action. So please note, comments received for agenda items posted for action will be read at the time this item is heard. Dee Dee, do we have any comments?
Chair Williams, we did not receive any comments.
Okay. All right, great. I guess we can close that item. Move on to the next item. Approval of the EPDT Ad Hoc Committee, April 27th and 28th, 2001 meeting minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes, or are there any changes that anyone might have? Tom's not on, but I'll take his line, which is I'll take silence as acceptance. And TD, if we have received any comments from the public, let's check on that.
We have not received any comments.
Okay, very good. All right, so I'd like to call a motion to approve the minutes. Do I have a second or any discussion?
Joan Freeman, I'll second.
Oh, sorry, I jumped. Yeah, thanks. We got Joan and yeah, are we good on that, Edie?
Who called a motion?
I don't know if anyone did. I think I jumped it and went to do I have a second?
This is Wendy. Good morning. I'll motion to approve if Joan still seconds.
Okay.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan and Wendy.
Thank you.
All right. Dee Dee, will you do a roll call? And also please respond by yay or nay.
Carolyn Ballard,
Yay.
David Calloway,
Yay.
Vice Chair Dudley,
Yay.
Joan seconded, Autumn Groom,
Yay.
Nancy Jackson,
Yay.
Wendy motioned, Chair Williams,
Yay.
Robert Yabis,
It seems that his microphone is still not working.
okay.
Robert? We still can't hear you, Robert.
If you could put in your chat.
Yeah, you can put your comments in the chat, Robert, if you would like.
Since it is a committee meeting, I did have to disable chat for the meeting.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Robert? I've not run into the situation, Chair.
Yeah.
If you're not if you're not able to get confirmation from Robert, I would imagine that he would be abstaining, maybe.
And how are we on quorum? Is Robert, so are we right at it?
We are over quorum.
Okay,
Okay.
that's good news.
Dee Dee, I think he could email you his vote if that would work.
Robert, if you can email me your vote, I will record that.
Yeah, we'll just keep going.
And we do have a majority.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, everybody. We'll move on to our next item, item 4 on the agenda, updates from the MAG sub-regional mobility managers. Sub-regional mobility managers support coordinates efforts federally and required to receive Section 5310 funding. So they provide input into the development of projects and offer workshops and training for regional Section 5310 subrecipients. Dee Dee, can you provide an introduction of the mobility managers?
Yes, thank you, Chair, members of the committee. Our sub-regional mobility managers are seen as community liaisons who support our required coordination efforts by developing workshops and trainings for Section 53 subrecipients. And actually that has expanded. We do have other cities that are not our subrecipients attending. We have municipalities. We even had people from as far as Globe, I believe, Tucson attending a lot of our trainings. Our mobility managers have facilitated 4 different types of trainings and workshops throughout the year that include driver safety, when entitled as a moving target, just because we're under the pandemic, and how to provide services keeps changing. So it is a moving target. Preventive maintenance, and the wheels are turning. We've had
Hello.
Yeah, thank you, Robert. We can hear you now.
Sorry. Apologies.
So do we have a yay on the minutes?
Yay. I sent a text. I sent an email actually saying yay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we've had over 230 participants at various workshops and trainings. We have added a new training on de-escalation just recently, and we had over 50 participants. Our mobility managers will provide a brief overview of their projects. And Chair, I am just checking to see if Eric, our newest.
Eric is just joining, and we have Justin and Billy Parker. Mark Butterbush did have an emergency. He just emailed me with his agency, and he will try to join as soon as the emergency ends. But as of right now, he's not able to attend.
Okay. But while Eric is logging on, if we can call on Justin to provide an overview of his projects.
Yes, Dee. Thank you, Dee. So as Dee said, my name is Justin McGregor. I'm from STARS. I'm the Facilities Mobility Innovations Manager for STARS. I am the Sub-Regional Mobility Manager for the West Valley. So this year we've been continuing with the preventive maintenance training as well as the driver safety training. I believe that the attendees for the training have got a lot of great information from it, just from the feedback that we've gotten from it. Just recently also, I was able to assist other agencies with the annual milestone report. So it's been pretty busy.
Thank you, Justin. Justin has recently gotten a new title, which is the Facilities and Mobility Innovation Manager. We greatly appreciate your support. And do you have, can you explain your new title?
Yeah, so the new title, pretty much anything that has to do with mobility, I'm in charge of now, as well as facility and facility coordinations. So a lot more responsibility. So I'm used to it.
Thank you. And Justin does facilitate the preventive maintenance, most of the fleet management training. We have a really good response. He has provided all of our agencies support in fleet management. And a lot of agencies have contacted him regarding reporting. As he said, he has assisted a couple of agencies with their milestone report. We definitely appreciate Justin's expertise, especially since he is our fleet manager and our expertise in that. So thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
I do want to point one note for Justin's work. It's a kudos that I actually received today an email from a organization in Pennsylvania that came across our website for workshops and found the driver safety video recording and the slides. And they also want to make that part of their training. So they were asking for the slideshows so they can use on their training on their organization. So it's not just reaching locally, it's also reaching all across the country, all the way to Pennsylvania. So the contributions for Justin and his workshops and trainings are very important to the program.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. Any questions? Okay. I'd like to introduce our next mobility manager, and that is Billy Parker. He is Executive Director with Chandler Gilbert Arc. Billy.
Good morning, everybody. It's good to see everybody and hear everybody. My name is Billy Parker. I'm Executive Director for Chandler Gilbert Arc. We provide day services, employment, and housing and transportation to individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. We've been in business since 1975, and I've been here since 1994. And have been the executive director since 2013, and also I've been a mobility manager since about 2013 as well. So have really appreciated the partnership that we've had with MAG in the city of Phoenix, and we have a long history of doing 5310 proposals as well. I've been doing them really since I started working here in 1994. So seen a lot of really positive changes in that respect. Quick update on our agency. Because of COVID, we shut down on the 17th of May, March of 2020, and we continued to be shut down until May of 2021. And we're working on a slow reopening. For the most part, our challenges with reopening are more related to finding employees, like so many other organizations and so many other businesses are faced with as a result really of COVID. And so we kind of continue on that in that realm, but our day services program is about 60% open, and we've kept our group homes. They've been 24/7 programs all through COVID. And so that continues. Obviously, that's had an effect on our transportation program. And so it was really an interesting experience doing the milestone progress report this year and seeing, because we had obviously a lot less boardings because we did a lot less transportation, but we're reopening and we're on our way back on that. So some of the projects, some of the trainings that I've done, Dee Dee was referring to the It's a Moving Target series of training, and that's been really an interesting, really open forum discussion. That's been, or I think it's been a really positive thing, communicating with other providers regarding many challenges as a result of COVID, not just transportation, but also personnel and safety and, vaccines and many different aspects of that. So we've done 3 of those trainings in the past year, and every one we do is a little different because the status of COVID is always different. And it creates all kinds of challenges. And so, I've found really that it's been a great opportunity to share ideas between providers. And it's also really been a great opportunity for people to just sort of have a little bit of a sense of camaraderie among providers about because we're all facing a lot of the same issues. So as time goes on, I'll probably keep that training and we'll just sort of shift it to whatever any of the current issues are, because I found it to be really helpful and really productive to have those conversations. For years, I've also done vehicle sharing training, and actually at the end of this month, I have a vehicle sharing training scheduled. So that should be really interesting. I put that on hold because no one was really doing enough transportation for us to feel like there was much potential for people to be sharing vehicles. So that kind of got put on hold. That said, we did share our vehicle once about a month ago with one of our partners who is Valley Center of the Deaf. And so that program continues to be active. So I'm excited to sort of resurrect it and, bring it back and have a conversation with people. I think I was in communication with Hezekiah yesterday, and I'm probably going to make somewhat of a shift to the program and talk a little bit more about some of the other projects that we've been working on as mobility managers. One of them being really looking at more of a collaborative model for vehicle ownership or for providing transportation through really a couple of different options, whether it's providing transportation, sort of brokered transportation, or possibly looking at any possibilities of joint vehicle ownership between providers where they share a vehicle, and everything sort of related to that. And that all kind of really dovetails with vehicle sharing as well, and collaboration. So I'm going to continue to work on that, and we'll be continuing to discuss that as mobility managers and kind of see where that gets us. So sort of in summary, as far as projects, I'm probably will continue the It's a Moving Target series of open discussions with people periodically, depending on whatever the sort of current issues are that we're faced with. Bringing back the vehicle sharing program, looking at this whole brokerage model, which we've already put a lot of effort into. And then I've also been talking with Dee Dee and Wendy quite a bit about kind of looking at how we as transportation providers can more easily and more effectively share our assets, share our vehicles, whether we transfer them among 5310 providers, whether we donate them, sell them, however that works. And we put some energy into that already, but feel like it's really a key aspect of coordination is to be able to actually share those assets as much as you can. So other than that, that's kind of where things are at with us. So if you have any questions.
Thank you, Billy, for your update. I would also like to add that we actually, Ann Conrad from the Community Transportation Association of America, mobility manager there, has been in contact with Billy regarding the topic of sharing vehicles and and what kind of best practices. So we really want to, I really want to thank Billy for pushing this discussion and sharing your information with CTAA. So thank you so much regarding that. And also thank you for the topic of vehicle disposal. That is a topic that I think across the state, we're working on. So thank you for your input on that.
You bet. Thank you.
I would now next like to introduce Eric. And Eric Penick, he is a fleet and facilities manager at TCH. His overview will be very brief, really be very brief, since he's fairly new to TCH and he was just awarded mobility management position this year. And he signed his contract just last month. So Eric, if you would like to provide us some information on your role at TCH and your goals for the mobility management program. Thank you. Eric, if you'd like to unmute yourself. Hi, Eric. If you can unmute yourself and unmute your camera, provide an introduction. We'd like to welcome you into the program.
Okay. All right. Hi. Good morning. My name is Eric Penick. I'm the Fleet and Facilities Manager here at TCH. I'm in charge of keeping the vans running and maintenance on our group homes, along with our headquarters and the our paper shredding business. I'm very new to this whole mobility manager program. so far it's just been a lot of learning.
Eric, what is one of your goals for the mobility management position? And it is a little tough to put you on the spot since you just received your contract and you've only had one meeting, but we're very happy to have another fleet manager on or a mobility manager. We do get a lot of questions, and Justin, we hope you can support Justin in his role right now as providing that information. So we're excited. Also, Don Hawking, many of you know, is really supporting Eric in his role. It is a team effort. Eric will be the face of the mobility manager, but he does have support from staff at TCH and specifically Don Hawking. Eric, is there anything else you would like to add?
No, thank you.
Thank you. And chair, members of the committee, as I noted, that our mobility managers help not only with providing trainings and workshops, they're also provide feedback on a couple of issues that actually Billy had noted. We are looking at employment, recruitment and retention. That was an issue prior to the pandemic. Now it has, it's a little tougher now during the pandemic. And we're looking at what are the strategies we need to put in place once the agencies start opening up. So that is a topic that we are discussing. Also, service delivery during COVID. We've discussed how agencies will be reopening, if they will be back at capacity, are they changing their programs? So we kind of want to get a feel of that. And that will also help to get a better idea of what are the future requests for 5310 funding. Will that change? Will it be more vehicles? Will it be more programming? We are also looking at the issue of catalytic converter. There has been a theft. Again, this has been an occurrence before the pandemic, and it just has exacerbated since the pandemic. And we're seeing more and more of our agencies being hit with catalytic converters. We are having a focus group where our mobility managers will be attending just to get an idea and share some best practices on that. So definitely we'd like to thank our mobility managers. Thank you, Billy, Justin, and Eric for attending. That concludes our presentation. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to take them. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thanks, Dee Dee. So everyone, this item is for information and discussion only. And are there any comments from the committee? Okay. Hearing none. Thanks everybody for your updates. We appreciate that very much, and great work that you provide to the region. I appreciate all your efforts. Okay, let's move on to item number 5, review of the FY21 Section 310 Enhanced Mobility of Seniors and Individuals with Disabilities Program for the Phoenix Mesa Urbanized area. Dee Dee will now provide a review of the 2021 Section 5310 application process, and she will also review any committee comments for points for consideration as we go into the next application process.
Thank you, Chair, members of the committee. I would like to thank all of our committee members, and we appreciate your time for the 2021 application process. Next slide. Just a little overview of the Section 5310 application program. The The FTA Section 5310 Enhanced Mobility of Seniors and Individuals with Disabilities is a federal awards, capital awards program. Here in the MAG region, we have an open competitive process. Eligible applicants are private nonprofit organizations, public agencies where no viable private nonprofit organizations are available, and tribal governments. Eligible populations are agencies serving older adults age 65 and over, and agencies serving persons with disabilities. On the funding aspect of the portion that we received for the Phoenix Mesa urbanized area, not less than 55% of the funding are to go to capital projects. During this process, we raise that up to 60% to ensure that we reach that 55% marker. And then the other, about 35% to other capital operations, and the remainder goes to administration. Actually, it's 10% to administration, and the remainder goes to other capital operations. Next slide. For this process, as I noted, the committee is staffed with evaluating the Section 5310 requests that come in every year, and that is for the Phoenix urbanized area, which is located in the blue. Outside of the Phoenix Mesa urbanized area, ADOT is a designated recipient, and they coordinate and they program the 5310 awards. Inside the blue area, MAG coordinates the application process and the programming, and the City of Phoenix is our designated recipient. We have faced a couple of challenges this past year. We are still in our virtual process. We did elect to interview all of our applicants during this time, also virtually. And we have the inclusion of Supplemental Grant and the American Rescue Plan funding, and we integrated that process into our application process. It was pretty smooth, and I appreciate everybody for the quick turnaround and actually evaluating a couple of additional applications. In 2021, we had over $4.6 million awarded, with $3.5 million available in Section 5310 for the Section 5310 process for the Phoenix Mesa urbanized area. The priority listing included 4 mobility management positions, 13 preventive maintenance awards, 23 vehicles, and 7 operating projects. We also had over $1.1 million available under CRISA supplemental funding and the American Rescue Plan for the Phoenix Mesa urbanized area. We were able to award 8 CRISA projects and 5 American Rescue Plan requests. And as I noted before, our Section 310 for contracts for 2021 recently went out at the 1st of October. Also this year, and I would like to thank Wendy for her suggestion, we entered our programs of projects into the TIP for Section 5310 in a different format this year. It was a 1-line item with our apportionment. This would enable us to have a smoother process if we have to go back and do some revisions. And Wendy, I'd like to bring up Wendy Miller as the recipient. If you can provide some additional information on that, and also an update on the vehicle procurement process. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Dee Dee. Thank you. So to expand a little bit on your comment about the TIP process, we used to put in the exact amount of what was being awarded to each individual subrecipient in the TIP. And when we were making adjustments or someone didn't spend all their funding, because we want the TIP to match. So when we apply to FTA, we do it in big blocks. We say we're ordering X amount of vehicles for this amount, we're spending this amount on capital preventive maintenance, and we do it by line item rather than by individual agency projects. So what we did was ask MAG for permission to put the items in the tip the same way to make it easier to for us to maneuver grant wise on the back end administratively. And then what we would do is continue to utilize the priority listing as the documentation for who was awarded what. So we use the priority listing to actually list out what all the projects were awarded rather than putting them individually into the tip. And it just makes it much easier administratively. So that's a little bit more information on that part. And then regarding vehicles, as I'm sure most of you know, both, either through personally trying to buy a vehicle or other types of big capital pieces, like the supply chain has completely impacted the chip manufacturing, and other issues have come into play and made purchasing vehicles for us quite difficult. So a lot of the vehicles that we originally put into our application that said that these particular vehicles were available, they weren't available. Either the manufacturer stopped producing them due to COVID shutdowns, due to chips, due to, whatever. We've had a lot of hurdles and struggles on trying to procure the right kind of vehicle for what people are asking for. So we are still struggling to make sure that we are ordering all the vehicles as much as possible from last year's order. And then we have the great job of trying to identify what is going to be available for next year and what the pricing is. We still are waiting on some manufacturers to let us know when they're in production. They've changed some of the vehicles. For example, the minivan with ramp, they stopped making those. They said they shut down and said, we just cannot produce these. We had already had them on order, and Creative Bus notified us that the manufacturer was shutting it down and they were not going to be able to produce the ones that we had already ordered. So we had to work with the subrecipients to order some different vehicles. It's just been a whirlwind of one issue after the next, but we still are committed to trying to make sure we're working with each of the subrecipients to get them the vehicles they need as fast as possible. But there are delays. There are definitely delays. And we are going to try our best through this next process to inform all of the people that are looking to purchase vehicles this year that, it's a very fluid process and things can change, and we're going to do our very best. We've also had a couple of requests from agencies that are looking at, maybe alternative style vehicles. What about electric vehicles? Do you provide those? Currently, we do not have those vehicles on contract, but we are looking to see, we're going to have to start looking at what else can we do if we can't get the ones that we currently have on contract. So it's a lot of moving parts and pieces. I will leave it at that because, I could go into, severe granular detail and bore all of you for hours, but I won't do that. But I will say, if you have questions specifically, I can try to answer, just let me know. But we are working hard to produce and get the right kinds of vehicles in the hands of the subrecipients as quickly as possible.
Thank you, Wendy. And this is just not a regional issue, as Wendy has stated. The ADOT is also looking at this issue and vehicle procurement. So we greatly appreciate Wendy and her staff for taking this issue head on and finding some alternatives for us. We will keep you updated definitely regarding that. And again, I'd just like to thank Wendy for all her support and trying to figure this out. I think we are all being hit across the state. So thank you so much. Are there any questions for Wendy? Okay, thank you. Every year, we do provide an opportunity to discuss the past evaluation process and the committee comments and feedback. Well, it only took us 8 short years to develop a funding process that works out that it takes into account the time that all of you have put into evaluating evaluating the applications and ranking the applications and taking into account the amount that we are apportioned. Unfortunately, except for last year, every year we are getting more requests than we have funding for. And I would like to thank Ezekias for developing a method for prioritizing and awarding our funding, especially for the operating process. So thank you. And reviewing the minutes, next slide, there were 3 main items for consideration for the next application process. And the first one is to continue to have virtual committee meetings. I think everybody actually, as I was telling Chair Williams, when we all went into quarantine, the EPD committee was the first committee to conduct their committee meeting virtually. And we've had a lot of learning throughout the process, and I think we've done pretty well. So the committee thought that we were able to conduct business in a good manner. And from your comments last year, you would like to continue to have virtual meetings. This is open for discussion. Is this still the process that the committee would like to take?
Chair Dee, this is Wendy. With our city still in teleworking mode, we are still not back to full capacity. I know many people are either back at work or in various stages, but to have the option to continue the virtual meetings for us right now is critical because we're not in the office. That would be great to continue to have that opportunity.
Okay, thank you, Wendy. Are there any other comments?
Yeah, Chair, this is Matt Dudley, City of Avondale. I agree. I think having that ability to have that virtual option, even if we have to go and, eventually if there's that hybrid model, Dee, I know that MAG is very good about using. That's a possibility too. But honestly, I think, with the region trying to reduce car travel anyway, that was one of the unfortunate, obviously COVID was a very bad thing that happened, but one of the good things I'm looking at COVID is the ability to meet virtually. And I think as we go on, I think this is a great tool for us. So yeah, I'm all aboard about meeting virtually if possible.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Is there another comment?
Chair and Dee, this is Nancy with the City of Chandler, and I too am in support of the virtual meetings. It works out well for us.
Thank you for your comments. So from the consensus of the committee, I think we will continue with our virtual meetings. The other item and comment that I had was that the committee would like to continue with having the agencies interview virtually. We had over 20 agencies interviewing over a 2-day period. We were able to coordinate having 15-minute interviews, and it really worked out well. And the comments from the committee is to continue to interview all agencies and to have those agency interviews virtually. Are there any other comments? Would we like to continue that?
Chair Dee, this is Wendy again. I support this wholeheartedly still. It is a lot to ask to have these individual agencies come down and interview in person for a 5 or 10, 15-minute interview. It's a lot to ask. They're coming from all over the valley for all the reasons we mentioned about us doing it virtually. I think it is just as important to make that available to the subrecipients for those reasons and more.
Thank you, Wendy. And as Vice Chair Dudley had mentioned, MAG is looking at having a form of a hybrid method to be available even after we're able to attend in person. So this could be something that we want to continue in the future. So thank you. Any other comments?
As Matt Dudley, City of Avondale, I wholeheartedly agree with Wendy.
Yeah, and this is Nathan, Town of Gilbert. I agree with, Matt and Wendy, and, I've been on this committee now 2 years. So I essentially started when all that happened. So I know no other way, and it seems to work well for me, in my opinion. And I agree with Wendy. I mean, having folks come down is just much more efficient this way. And I think it's worked pretty well over the last couple of years. So thank you.
Thank you, Chair. And from the consensus of the committee, I hear that we would like to continue also with the one-on-one interviews to be virtual also. And again, this is just for discussion. The other comment that I gathered from the minutes was the possible option of the committee itself meeting either virtually or in person during the agency interviews. Is this something that the committee would like to have open, or would we like to still continue to hold all of our meetings virtually?
Joan Freeman here. I think we should continue to have the meetings virtual.
Thank you. Any other comments?
This is Robert Yabes, Tempe. Yeah, I agree with the consensus of continuing to meet, not in person yet.
Thank you, Robert. Any other comments?
It's Nate. I just agree with everyone. I think it's working well. So thanks for everybody's input.
Yes, and thank you for your input. I just wanted to cover this. This was a comment that I pulled from the minutes, but definitely we did virtual last year. It worked well. We can continue with virtual this year throughout the whole process. And the other item was that I did hear possible talks about another supplemental grant at the beginning of the year. I haven't heard any discussion after that. But the committee had noted that if there were to be another supplemental grant, that they would like to integrate it, as we did for CRISA and ARC, into the application process, if possible. Are there any other comments? I think it worked well last year. It followed the same eligibility, and project request has 5310. If there was a supplemental, it would be specifically for 5310. Unfortunately, prior to CRISA and ARC, there was a supplemental for transit in the late, I believe, 2021. They did make CRISA and ARC available for Section 5310 eligible applicants. So if we were to have another supplemental grant opportunity, we could integrate it into the application process. Did anybody have any comments regarding that?
Chair Didi, this is Wendy, City of Phoenix. Yes, absolutely. This is critical. Otherwise, we would have to do this process duplicatively. And with the amount of time that we already spend on doing this, the economies of scale of adding the CRISA and the ARP like we did last year was absolutely crucial. So if we can somehow note that in our, wherever we need to note it, that if funding becomes available that follows the same, that's directed specifically at 5310, even if that funding, like ARP, was allocated after we did our process, we all agreed that it should be utilized the same, and it was added in to the process, and we just funded more projects. So if we would continue to do that, I highly recommend that we notate that if funding comes in, that we would allocate it in score order, same as, or however our justification is, and do it the same way and continue to fund. and to that end also, if well, I'll leave it at that because the other supplemental process would be different. But my thought is if there was a supplemental process needed, that we would have to discuss that separately, a different kind of supplemental process, such as if we didn't spend down all the funds and we needed to make the opportunity available mid-year or do something like that to spend funds down and award out additional funds, we would have to consider that differently.
Thank you, Wendy. Chair, members of the committee, again, I would like to thank Wendy and her staff for being flexible and providing support. I believe we had a little more than 4 weeks to determine the process when we got CRISA and the American Rescue Plan supplemental funding. Thank you for the committees for taking that on and evaluating it. It was a really fast process, and I appreciate your comment that we are now a little ahead of the game if there is a supplemental opportunity coming for next year. Is there any comments from the committee? So I have the consensus is to continue with our virtual meetings for all EPDT meetings, including the interviews and having all agencies having a virtual, all applicants having a virtual interview. And also if there were to be any supplemental grant opportunities, if possible, to integrate it into our Section 53 evaluation process. This is for information discussion, and we can fold this into our next application process. Chair, members of the committee, this concludes my presentation.
Okay, thanks, Dee Dee. And so quick housekeeping. I think we're at number 5. That was number 5, correct? And that concludes that one. Thank you, Dee Dee. Appreciate that. Let's move on to the next item, number 6. Section 5310 Applicant Score Dashboard. So after every application process, MAG staff provides feedback to the applicants on how they did in their evaluation process. Zacchaeus will provide an overview of the applicant dashboard that has been used as an evaluation tool for feedback to potential applicants. So Zacchaeus, are you ready for that?
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. So I'm just going to go over the dashboard. Looks very similar to the dashboard that was presented last year. For whoever don't remember or didn't see, this is a resource, a tool that we have to be able to do 2 things: see ourselves how each of the agencies have done with the application, as well as being able to show to them the areas on the application, how they did and how they can improve. So this is good for them, and it's also good for us because we might be able to see if there are any gaps on our workshops and presentations about the application that we might be able to improve on the process for the applicants. Here, as you can see, when we present this to our applicants, it will have the details. In this case, I have here the Northwest Valley Connect application and all of the details. From the previous year, we had each application in a separate dashboard. This year, we were able to bring all of the applications together so they can also not only compare them to the average score for all of the applicants, but to each one of their applications to also understand what they might have improved on one type of application compared to others. On the right side, on the sections, they have a toggle on option where they can choose the sections to have a little bit more details. If they scored a little bit lower than what they were expecting in one section, they can then select and it will show up what the section is about in here. So this is just a simple Excel dashboard that they can use when they're reviewing the application, and we have that available for all of the applicants. And mentioning the improvement that it can bring to the applications when they look at it back and prepare for the next application. I have here, for example, the example of the Northwest Valley Connect. And we have the 2020 and the 2021 dashboard. We did have talks to the Northwest Valley Connect staff. They were really eager to improve on their application. They were able to get some funding in 2020, but they wanted to make sure that they had an even better chance of getting funding in 2021. So I just want to point out a few spots. For example, you can see in section 1 to 9 scores for the year 2020, 2020 and 2021, how the scores changed and how they were able to improve to get the maximum score in the 2021 on that section. So this is how we go about on analyzing the sections and see which areas they can strengthen the application, where the gaps on their scores are, and be able to provide that feedback, the individual feedback to the agencies. Here you can also see on section 8 and the interview, there is also the improvement from the 2020 to the 2021 scores.
Hezekias, this is Wendy, Chair Hezekias. Because we're not seeing the key at the bottom and the color codes, could you tell us again what the differences are in all those colors?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Can you tell us what the difference is in the colors? We can't see the key on the screen.
Oh, so you can't see what they mean, the colors?
Correct.
Oh, okay. So sorry for that. If you see here on the left side, the purple is the Northwest Valley Connect score. The green is the average score for applicants that year, and the orange is the maximum score that they could have gotten in that section. On the 2021, you see that the purple and orange are the scores for each one of their applications. The orange is the average score, and the green is the maximum score that they could have gotten. So you can see that, for example, the purple, their score in 2020 went from a 4 for all of the members' scores to a 5 for that section 1, 2, or 9, as well as in here you can see that it went from a little bit below 11 to an averaging out 12 in their scores for that section 8, and for the interview, it averaging out on 13 when they were scoring at around 12 in the previous year. So the scores on the left are their actual scores. The two bars on the right in both 2020 and 2021 are the average scores for everybody and the maximum scores that they could have gotten. Thank you, Wendy, for pointing that out.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
The same thing goes for TCH. We did have a little bit of a talk with them this year because they were applying for the mobility management for the first time, and you want to make sure that they had a good application. They also talked to Justin McGregor when preparing for their application as well, and you can see some improvements in some of the sessions as well. As you can see in here, again, it follows the same. The two bars on the right are the average score for that year and the maximum score. The bars on the left are the score, and these two are the score for the year for the two applications, the mobility management and preventative maintenance. So we can see that they were able to improve some of their score as well, based on us being able to look at each one of their sessions and where they could improve. And lastly, Foothills Caring Corps. We can also see an increase in some of their sections right over here, where they got the maximum score in section 3, as well as an improvement on the interview. And for example, for Caring Corps, they did not have a one-on-one with us, but as I mentioned, it's not just on the one-on-one that this is helpful. We also look at it and we try to understand where the overall application can be improved for our workshops, our handbooks, and more information that we can provide the applicants so they are better prepared for the application process. And that is my part on the application dashboard. If anybody has any questions, chair or members of the committee.
Thanks, Zacchaeus. So yeah, this item is for information and discussion only. And as Zacchaeus requested, if there's any other comments or thoughts from the committee, I think it looks really good, and I can see how that could be really helpful to applicants over the course of time and see how they do. Thanks for that. It looks great. Okay, go to number 7. So action, let's see, item number 7. Dee Dee, this is for you, I think. Dee Dee will now offer an overview of the 2021 section application process, including information on any federal updates to the Section 5310 grant program, and review items requested to be added into the next application process.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. If you have not heard, FTA has extended the FAST Act until the end of December. The Invest in America Act, or Investing in a New Vision for the Environment and Surface Transportation in America, is the next bill that they are trying to move through Congress and hopefully will approve by the first of the year. I haven't really heard of any major changes. They are still requesting 5 years of dedicated funding, which is similar to the FAST Act. I looked over a review from the CTAA, which is the Community Transportation Association of America, regarding what were some of the suggestions. They have suggested a revision to the 55% for traditional capital requests. They had wanted to make that a little lower. That was one of their suggestions. What they have not heard that was moving forward. So I am taking a guesstimation that the 55% will still be in place. As far as CTA is aware, there has been no discussion on that. Across the board, there is a recommendation for funding increases throughout the whole bill, and that includes Section 5310. And by some of the documents that I've read, I believe there is a pretty large increase of close to 100,000. How that will be apportioned, this is a formula-based funding program, and how much will come into the Phoenix and Mesa urbanized area is not known at this time, but we have always had a increase every year. So we expect a bump this year, and again, not sure how big of a bump that will be. We have been in a similar situation of not having a legislative act while we go into the next application process. And this was seen about 5 years ago with the FAST Act. And they approved it during our application process. It seems like we're in the same situation, but we will continue to move forward with our application process for 2022. ADOT is also moving forward. They are on a 2-year application cycle. Last year was request for projects. 2022 will be a call out for projects for mobility management applications. With no real updates to the program, what we have for you is our 2022 tentative schedule for the committee for you to review. The meeting schedule is very similar to the schedule from last year. It actually is, it is the same schedule from last year. The meeting in January to approve the application and evaluation process, and hopefully we will receive some information regarding the legislative act. And on March 16th, we will distribute all the applications and we'll provide an evaluation training for the committee members. We hope to release the application by the end of January and then have the deadline at the end of February. We do City of Phoenix and MAG does take a internal review 2 weeks after applicants are submitted to ensure that all of the applications meet federal requirements and regional thresholds. Our agency interviews will take place on Tuesday and Wednesday, April 26th and 27th. It is a 2-day process. This will be virtual under consensus from the committee. And then the committee will meet in November, and we put this tentative. We had included a meeting after the whole process to talk about, to debrief and talk about some of the changes. In the past couple of years, we really haven't had any changes since we did have a 5-year program under the FAST Act, and hopefully under the INVEST Act, we'll also have a 5-year program. So there wouldn't be really any major changes during that time. I spoke with the chair and vice chair. They would still like to keep the November meeting on in place in case we need to just debrief and talk about the next application process prior to January meeting for the next process. As always, we will continue to improve our process, and I would like to review the committee consensus for updates on the next process. So the committee consensus was to hold all EPDT and the agency interviews virtually. And we will make sure that it's updated in our trainings and in our handbook. Also, that if there were any supplemental grants that came out, if possible, to integrate that into the application process. Based on these recommendations, staff will update all necessary documents and trainings. Is there any discussion? Any other comments? Chair Williams, that concludes my presentation.
Okay, thanks, Dee Dee. And we didn't receive any comments from the public.
We did not receive any comments.
Okay. All right. Since we have no additional comments, we could call for a motion to approve the recommended revisions. Do I have a motion to approve?
This is Matt Dudley, City of Avondale. I move to approve the recommendations.
Thanks, Matt. Do we have a second?
This is Robert
Wendy
Yavis,
Miller. I approve.
seconding the motion.
Thank you, both. All right, sounds like we're good. Dee Dee, do you have a roll call, or can you do a roll call? And everybody just again, yay or nay would be great.
Thank you, Chair, members of the committee, for a recommendation for next year. We are approving the tentative committee schedule, virtual meetings, and to integrate any supplemental application. Carolyn Bellard.
Yay.
David Calloway.
Yay.
Vice Chair Dudley.
Yay.
Joan Freeman.
Yay.
Autumn Groom.
Yay.
Nancy Jackson.
Yay.
Wendy, seconded. Kristen Taylor. Chair Williams.
Yay.
And Robert Yavis.
Yay. Yay.
Thank you. Thank you, committee members. Chair Williams, we do have a majority.
Okay, sounds like it passes. Thanks, everyone. Let's go to agenda item number 8, a request for future agenda items.
Chair and Didi, I just want to point out that Mark from Gumpers is able to join. I don't know if you want to have him give his review of the mobility management projects.
Sure. Yeah, we're wrapping up, so that's probably a fine time to interject here. So thanks, and yeah, that'd be fine with me. What do you think, Didi?
Chair Williams, we can have Mark present at the next.
Okay.
Okay, since we did pass that agenda item.
All right, sounds good.
Right. Thank you.
All right, so we're at number 8 again. Request for future agenda items. Are there any requested topics or issues of interest to consider for the future agendas? And also, let's remember that topics and issues can be requested for future agendas, but not discussed. It's like not too many, but if you think of any, I think we could, yeah, feel free to email Didi or Hezekiah. I think that's possible. So thanks, everyone. Okay, agenda item number 9 is comments from the committee. This is for information only. Does anyone have any announcements they would like to make or any other comments? All right.
Chair Williams and members of the committee, again, I would just like to thank everybody for their time. We know you have other staffing duties at your agencies, but we greatly appreciate your time for this really important process for evaluating the Section 5310 applications. Again, these are nonprofit agencies and municipalities who are providing alternative transportation options for older adults and persons with disabilities. And we will support the committee in all of your evaluation documents as much as possible. But I just really wanted to say thank you for your time for this really important program. Thank you.
Thanks, Didi. Okay, so we are at our final agenda item, which is number 10, adjournment. So the last item, that's our last item on our agenda. And before we adjourn, I'd also like to thank all of you again, as Didi just did, for your time and for your help with this important program as we head into the 2022 application process. It'll be a lot of fun. And anyway, I would now like to call a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn. This is Wendy.
Okay, thanks, Wendy.
Joan Freeman will second.
Thanks, Joan. All right, is that adjournment, Didi?
We are adjourned.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. See you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair and members.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.